What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a short episode of Straight Shoot. Con and I today, when we were offline, kind of getting ideas, there is a significant female wrestler that is getting a hell of a push, both on the main roster and NXT right now, and it's not Jade Cargill.
Surprise.
I am talking about Xia Li.
Let's go.
Now, Con and I talked about this slightly offline, and we're like, let's stop. Let's get this on the video, because him and I have two very different dynamics when it comes to, or opinions, sorry, when it comes to Xia Li. Now, Con, I'm going to let you run with this first, because I think my mindset on her is very different. So I want to hear, what are you feeling when it comes to her and this push that has almost come out of nowhere?
It really has come out of nowhere, hasn't it? We've just recently seen Xia Li start getting involved. Well, with Becky Lynch, that's where it all began. With Becky Lynch as the NXT Women's Champion, Xia Li wanted a shot. Becky Lynch said, "You've got your shot," and Xia's like, "I'll take the shot when I want it." Becky Lynch lost the NXT title, and now Xia Li is kind of left in limbo. Yeah, sure, she's going after the NXT title down in NXT, but on the main roster, we don't really know what's going on with her. But she is kicking people's heads in. She is leaving them concussed. And I think she looks like an absolute badass. I love this strong booking for Xia Li. Now, in my streams, we've been talking about concussions and how they're presented on WWE TV, because not long ago in AEW, we saw a massive concussion with Jon Moxley. And that resulted in the referee not stopping the match on time. And it was very messy, and Jon Moxley has since spoken out about concussions and how the referees and doctors need to do a better job with it, which, very fair. The health and well-being of the wrestlers is first and foremost. So then people are now talking about this concussion angle and being like, is it the right thing to do with Xia Li? Because it's a hot topic in wrestling, and you don't really want to mess around with head injuries, and, CTE is no joke and all that, but Xia Li has found this way to interject herself into these nothing matches and make them stand out, because there's no finish. She just kicks their head in and they're knocked out cold and they can't continue. I think that is sick for the women's division, and we don't really have anybody who is a smaller badass like Xia Li, who could really be a threat up against anybody. So I'm a fan, but I'm curious to hear where you stand with Xia Li, because like you said, we stand on opposite sides essentially. So what's your thoughts with her?
I agree with everything you're saying, because so I look at us as wrestling fans different than just the day-to-day, you know what, I'm going to turn Monday Night Raw and just have it on. I'll pay attention to what I want to pay attention to, and I'll click off. We don't click off. We read the stories, we read the characters, we look as in-depth as we can get. And it doesn't matter for us if a wrestler is marketable or not, or if they are getting fully over. We watch what they try. And some things like Madcap Moss, when they brought him back, they tried. They tried putting him with Emma. It didn't work, but we saw what they were trying to do.
Yeah, because the name was freaking Madcap. But anyways.
My biggest concern is, and it really concerned me last night, it was announced that it was going to be Xia Li versus Indy Hartwell in a one-on-one with Candice LeRae behind Indy. When Xia Li's music hit, it reminded me of when Brian Christopher returned to Monday Night Raw.
Really?
Go back and watch it. The crowd goes silent. And that's where I'm concerned, because I understand what WWE is trying to do, make her that dominant, smaller female competitor that can compete on the big level. I see her skill set, but I'm concerned that the 80 percentile of professional wrestling fans don't see it. The running joke, the crowd goes mild. The crowd went dead. There was more of a pop for Indy. And that's where I'm concerned. And it was kind of the same on NXT last week, where Xia Li came out and everyone's like, who is that? And then they realized it was Xia Li and they went quiet. like and for an NXT crowd to go quiet. I had 3 buddies sitting in the crowd at NXT, and everyone was just like, okay, like it's Xia Li, yay. And
so let me ask you this question, okay? Because like everything we just said, she's a cool character.
Great character.
She's a badass, and she's never been featured, man.
No.
Like, if we look who she's going up against, we're talking about her interrupting the NXT Women's Champion, Lyra Valkyria, who is so over with the NXT crowd.
Yep.
Okay. She's had some backstage stuff on Raw, but that's only really within the last month. What else has she done in her entire career, right? There is no introduction to Xia Li. She had an entrance, right, with like the lightning bolts hitting her. That looked cool, but that was there for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We haven't seen anything from Xia Li. So I don't think this is a position where it's like people don't care about her. I think it's a position where people don't know her.
Yeah.
And it's just going to take time. And doing things like having her kick people's heads off and causing concussions, going into a story with Becky Lynch and hyping up a match on Raw against Becky Lynch, that's a great way to introduce a character. It might not get over and it might continue to be crickets, but in my opinion, I don't know how you have a badass like Xia Li and not get people to care. I think in a month's time, we're looking at this character in an entirely different way.
I completely agree with you, and I understand, but we have seen this before with somebody come in with dominance, beat down Becky Lynch, and have a really cool, dominant character, and the crowd just wasn't over it, and her name was Lacey Evans.
That's true.
So
that's true.
And they kept changing and changing and changing. And like, we're not seeing the changes fully with Xia Li. She's stuck with her gimmick fully. But it's just one of those really hard ones where I sit there and I'm like, I'm concerned that come after Survivor Series, when she has a feud with Becky Lynch, it's either she has to dominate Becky Lynch, and I mean dominate Becky Lynch. Because if she loses to Becky Lynch, it's done.
Oh, she's done. She's done at that point, which I think she's going to beat Becky.
Okay.
Just saying.
Okay.
I think she's going to beat Becky. I think Triple H is high on Xia Li. You don't give somebody that look and entrance and time unless you think there's something there. So I think she's going to beat Becky, or it's going to be like a double count out or something into a big brawl and hype up another match. Like, I think that's the way we're going with it.
Yeah, because the other thing is, and I don't want to make this conversation about Becky, but I don't think Becky can afford a loss at Survivor Series right now. She's just lost the NXT title. Mm-hmm. So, she got beat by Lyra Valkyria. Is that how you're saying her name?
Yep.
Yeah. So she's just gotten beat by Lyra. She's come back to the main roster. She's gotten concussed 2 weeks after losing the NXT title by Xia Li. Honestly, she couldn't get her hands on Xia Li on Monday. And now, like, they're going to have a feud on Monday night. It's probably going to end. They're going to have a match next Monday, and it's going to be probably a DQ or something like that. Becky looks soft right now for being the toughest woman on Monday Night Raw, next to Rhea. Becky's the biggest name on Monday Night Raw right now, hands down, next to Rhea Ripley. So I just think neither one of these women can afford a loss at Survivor Series, and it's concerning the way they're going about it. I know Triple H is high on Xia Li. I think the whole backstage crew, because she's got a good look. I like her look. Yeah. I like her in the ring, but again, where that 20%, where that 10%, that see
that's fair.
The quality. I don't think the other 80% see it.
So let's look at big picture here, and you might be spot on with that, but big picture here. Becky Lynch was not meant to be in the NXT Championship picture. The only reason she was because Tiffany Stratton accidentally said her name. That's the only reason that started rolling on. So if we take away that entire NXT run, what was the story beforehand? She overcame Trish, right? She had a match with Zoe Stark, but there wasn't a lot going on for Becky Lynch, right? Nope. I wonder if 2024 is going to be about the redemption arc of Becky Lynch. And I wonder if the loss of the NXT title, a loss to, say, not necessarily a rookie, but pretty much a rookie in Xia Li, could lead to Becky Lynch saying she needs to win the Royal Rumble. Now, I know she's won it before, but could we be looking at Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch, with Becky Lynch winning the Royal Rumble at WrestleMania?
I think that's probably the most the most potential we have in a storyline, because we actually saw the redemption of Seth Rollins last year, didn't we?
We did.
So I think that's actually awesome to say, you know what, that whole family needed redemption last year, and now we need redemption for the other side of the family now. So I like that. Exactly. My only biggest concern is like my favorite to win the Royal Rumble is Liv Morgan. So that's where I'm divided, because Liv Morgan needs that redemption as well. And she has been quite cryptic on social media lately about her and Rhea Ripley. A lot of posts of her and Rhea Ripley.
And don't get me wrong, that would be a great Mania match if we ended up getting Rhea versus Liv. The story that they are telling there would be wonderful, right?
Yeah, let's stay on topic, though. I think that's a whole other video, actually. I think that whole...
So, yeah, so we'll get into Women's Royal Rumble winner potential in the future. But you're right. Right here is about Xia Li and the potential that she has. So, yeah, I like what they're doing with Xia.
Yeah.
I think that they need to hone in on what this character is to get people hooked.
Yeah.
And if they're really going to commit to this character, they need a big win for her. And that win could very well come over Becky Lynch.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the biggest thing is how the finish happens. Because I think the finish needs to be good enough that the crowd goes, holy shit, like she just beat Becky Lynch. It has to be a holy shit moment, or it's going to be like, okay.
Yeah, like it doesn't feel the same if, say, Rhea distracted Becky and then Becky got her head kicked in and then she got pinned 1, 2, 3. It doesn't hit the same. It almost needs to be a shocking, like when Becky came back at SummerSlam and was it SummerSlam or Mania?
SummerSlam against Bianca.
Okay. And she pinned Bianca Belair, right? 1, 2, 3 in a quick squash match. You know, can you imagine if Becky's not taking Xia seriously and Xia just hits that spin kick, knocks her out 1, 2, 3? That would be a very interesting way to go.
I just thought of something. Injury write-off. Write her off till the Rumble.
There you go. And yeah, they did just say that she was out with the concussion for a couple weeks, right?
Yeah.
So maybe it's not fully healed. She came back a bit too early, and Xia kicked her head in again, knocked her out.
Well, there's no premium live event after this.
That's very true.
Rumble is the next premium live event. So write Becky off for Christmas. Go home. Her and Rue and Seth have a great Christmas, and Becky comes back refreshed, puts on a little bit of timber, and off to the races for the Royal Rumble. But like, I just think Xia Li needs this. And needs it bad.
She does. There's no doubt about it. She needs this big win, and she needs to stand out against Becky Lynch. But they got something with her. They definitely do.
They do, 100%. Guys, if you like these videos and want to hear more of Comment and myself chatting about everything that is professional wrestling, don't forget to like, subscribe, and put the bell on for all notifications that are straight shoot. Everyone in the comments, take care of yourself. Be good people. Yeet.